Hi, I'm Robert. Thanks for tuning in to my YouTube video. I'm a very handy person. I've been fixing things as far back as I can remember. Since I was 9 years old, I've fixed stuff like sheetrock walls, small appliances, computers, and the list goes on and on. I even have some formal training in carpentry and computer repair. So I hope you find this information useful. Hey, I want to start this video off by encouraging you all not to be intimidated by the use of a multimeter. The multimeter that I have is an entry-level meter, very inexpensive, costs less than $15 or something like that at any hardware store or your major retailers that have a hardware department. Get a multimeter, and the portion of the meter that I use is the most basic test. It's called an ohm test. All you're doing is checking to see if there's broken wire or a bad sensor, that current is not flowing through it. Very easy to use. I demonstrated in the video, so don't let that intimidate you. Go spend that $12, $15 on the multimeter, get your appliance fixed, and save yourself a lot of money. I just got this Frigidaire Affinity dryer. It's not working. When you dial in what you want to do and hit the start button, doesn't start. Give you this door warning. So I'm about to troubleshoot it, see what's wrong with it. Now supposedly you could hit the cancel and start button together and it'll give you the error code for the machine. So you hold those in for 6 seconds and it's supposed to flash the error code. This one didn't do it. Now I have seen it do it once. Let me try this select and cancel button. Hold that in for 6 seconds. See if that gives the code. That didn't do it either. And I read on the web where you can dial the dial 2 complete revolutions and then stop on the third one past it. Then hold those 2 buttons in and it's for 6 seconds and it should give you the error code then. There it is. E66 is the error code. So here's everything I used to fix this. I had a accessory screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver, pair of pliers, the actual thermal switch, ohm meter, and here's the part number on that thermal switch that I got from the parts supply store, appliance parts supply store. So if you Google that, you'll find your parts store. Now whenever you're going for parts for any appliance, you open up the door, look for the manufacturer's sticker on there, and it'll tell you the model number and the serial number. That way when you order parts or go by the appliance parts center, you'll get the correct parts. So the machine is giving me a door error, so I'm going to test the door switch first, but that error code is supposed to stand for a thermal switch. So let me test the door switch and then test the thermal switches if the door switch is good. Okay, now that you got your error code, you want to go ahead and unplug the machine because you don't want to be working on it with it plugged in. You don't want to get shocked. On this machine, you open up the door and the switch here is right inside the hinge area. Now this door switch is kind of easy to get to, so I'm going to use a little accessory screwdriver and pry the switch out. So you could use 1 or 2 of these to get this switch to come out. Okay, I got the screwdriver in there. I pried the bottom loose. Now I'm going to pry the top loose and pull it out. It should have releases in there. Let me get this switch out with 2 hands. Okay, with the switch part of the way out, I work it up, get this bottom one out. Now I got all 3 wires out on the switch. So let me go ahead and unplug it and test it. Okay, on the switch, you're just really checking for ohms. So when you get your ohm meter, you switch it to the ohm position at any reading. And now you want to put your 2 prongs on there and test for continuity between the 2 different prongs there. So I got my gauge set there, and I'm going to use my hands to put it on these probes. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put my ground on the black one, or up here on this orange one. Really doesn't matter, you're just checking resistance. And then I'm going to hit the other one on here. So I hold one here and the other one up top, and then I check my ohm meter. With the switch out, I should have a reading, and then when I push the switch in, I should lose my reading on my gauge. Then I'm going to move this one to this bottom probe, and with the switch out, I should have no reading, and when I push the plunger in, I should get a reading. That tells me that my switch is working properly. It seems that my switch is working properly, so I'm going to go and check the thermal switches inside the unit. Okay, so I re-secured my switch. I'm going to go ahead and close the door and figure out how to get this dryer apart. Alright, first thing I do, I pull a Phillips screw out of here, a Phillips screw out of the other side. I pull the top of it back, and then it lifts off. So I'll have access to the top of the machine now. After you get the top off, you want to take the top of the front panel off. You take the screw out of that metal bracket right there. Take the screw out of the other metal bracket there, and then you'll lift the front of the panel off. So once those two screws are out, you lift it up, pull it out, set it aside. To get the door assembly off, you remove this screw out of this corner, this screw out of this corner, and then under the door, there's two Phillips screws down there. One there, and one under there. So you pull all four of those screws. Okay, after I got those four screws out, I open up the door. I got a screw here and a screw here. Now it seems like this front door assembly was going to lift off. Be careful for your switch wires, because you don't want to break those or mess those up when you pull this front of the panel off. When you get the front of the panel loose, go ahead and unplug the door switch wire assembly right there. After that, you got the light assembly at the top that needs to be unplugged. Okay, now that I got the front of the dryer off, I can look in here and I could actually see a few things. I got an exhaust tube there that has a thermal switch right on the other side of that. So if I take my camera up over the top of that, I can see that thermal switch there. So then when I come back to the front and look on this heating element tube, I got two thermal switches there. So since these are easier to access, I'm going to test these two first, and if they're good, I'm going to test that third one on that exhaust tube. And all I'm doing is checking for ohms. Okay, I got my arm reached all the way back there. I'm checking the back sensor, and I have nothing. When I move to the sensor right in front of it, I get a reading. See, I have a reading there, but when I go to the sensor behind it, I have no reading. So I do have one of those temp sensors that are bad. Now I'm going to try to reach over and check the one over there blindly and see if I get a reading on that one as well. Okay, I'm reaching blindly over to the other sensor, and it seems to be reading fine too. So I'm going to assume it's this thermal switch sensor closest to the back on this side with this two wires on it. Looks like black and yellow maybe. And there's the wires off of that back sensor. They're black and yellow and yellow. Okay, those are, I think, in with a Phillips screwdriver. I'm going to try to put a screwdriver on them, see if that could get them loose. If not, I'm going to have to take this side of the dryer apart, which means that I'll take these screws, this screw here, a few screws across the back, and hopefully the machine will still be supported where I can pull that panel loose and get at that. So let me see if I can get a screwdriver in there first. I can't get a good bite on that screwdriver, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this screw down here at the bottom, this screw here, a few screws across the top, and a few screws around across the back to get this side panel off. Okay, I took all the screws out the top, a couple of screws out the front, and then I lifted the bottom up and pried the side open because there's a screw right there at the top of that metal bracket that you'll have to take almost a whole back panel off to get the side off. So I'm just going to open up the back like this and access those two temp thermal switches there and pull that one in the back that I need to remove. And I'm going to show you how to ohms test on them real quick. This is the bad one. It has no ohms on it, and this is the good one. As you can see, it gives an ohm reading on it when I put the needles on the thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this new one, close the machine back up. I went on ahead and plugged the wires into it. Now I'm gonna screw it back on the tube. Now I'm gonna hook these bottom hooks from this panel into the bottom of here and screw these two screws into the front of this. Okay, first I put this bottom screw in. Now I'm going to lift the top into the track where it goes up there. Then I'm going to put this screw here in the center after I get the top locked in. Now I'm going to put the two screws in the top side that hold that water valve bracket in place. Actually, that was only one screw for that water valve bracket. Now I'm going to go get the door panel assembly, put it in place. Before I put any screws in this thing, the front door panel, I'm going to hook up the wires to the light and hook up to the wires to the door switch. That wire harness plug. Put the two screws in here, the two screws in the bottom, and then the two screws in the top. Now that you got these two screws in place, you could probably go ahead and plug this unit in and set this control panel on top and see if it works. But I'm going to go ahead and put it all the way together since I have confidence that it's fixed right. I got all 6 screws in the front door panel assembly. Now I'm going to hook the front control panel in that slot and that slot and go on top of it and secure it with the 2 screws. Now that the front panel's secure on, I'm going to go ahead and slide the top panel on and put the 2 screws on the back of the top panel. Now that I got everything together, I'm going to go ahead and plug it back in. Alright, now it's plugged in. First thing I did notice that the unit did not have an inside light, and now it does. So I'm going to go ahead and close it up, turn the switch on. 60 minutes. It showed 30 for some reason. Anyway, let's hit start, see if it starts. And it is rolling. So, the driver's not working. It was a thermo switch, the error code E66, and it was the one on the back of the heating element tube. Thanks again for watching the video. I hope you found the information useful and it helped you solve whatever problem you're working on. If you did, please like it, share it with your social media friends, and please subscribe to my channel so that you get notification of future videos that I make. You can go to my website, robertspinner.com. You can also leave comments here and questions, and I'll answer them as soon as I can.